Hey everybody, this just came in the mail and it is from a friend on the Facebook groups. So it's used, but it is titanium. It is the Black Mirror space capsule, and I like it very much. There's a few little things to talk about that are maybe cons, or at least negatives, but for the most part I like it. I don't have too many things to compare it to that are 3-click that are exactly like this, but I've gotten them out here. Before we do that, though, let's talk about the minor things I have a problem with. One would be, I'm not sure if magnet strength would solve this or not. The fact that these are free-floating pieces means, as opposed to captured, means they're susceptible to falling off. And the way they designed this, with the top edge curved up here, and it really doesn't matter how you hold it. If you hold it from this side, it's still the top edge is curved. So when it's fully extended and you go to push it back closed, you really have to catch it up here and push down in a nice direction that's parallel to this. Because if you come up here and you, instead of applying pressure here up at the top, if you apply pressure on this radius here, it may come down and want to come up on you. Now, after you hold it for a while, once you get used to using it, it's probably not going to happen at all. Just a little bit of practice. It can be a little bit quieter depending on how you hold it in your hand, but it's still pretty loud no matter what you do. I think, like I was saying, if I didn't say, I've done this a couple times now, I always have to start over. I have a few things to compare it to, and I wanted to keep them in the same sort of category. So we have this. This is actually the only thing I have a direct comparison to. The other one's slightly different. So these are both, they're what I would call tracked sliders, and they're not free-floating, but they're also not what I would call captured. The other one I have to show you, this is a 3-click slider, but it's captured. These are not captured. We have 3 levels that can pop right apart, and this one does not do that. It has we'll go into that in a little bit. Anyhow, so these two are the closest thing I can compare them to, and well, this one has a much shorter travel, of course, but 3 clicks can be okay. This is certainly all right. I think that the middle piece is probably brass or bronze. At least it looks to be that color. One of the other things, I don't seem to have a problem with this one or this one. When you're popping it back into place, there can be a bit of a jump in these plates as they transfer back, sort of a jump from magnet to magnet. And it's really hard to see. So I did some super slow motion captures of these 3 actually, and then you'll get an idea the big difference between the 3. This one here jumps pretty darn good, and that makes it susceptible to jumping off the track, or that. However, this one actually, well, this one has too short of a travel. This one is too long of a travel. This one is just right enough that you can hold it, rather than sliding it open and then changing positions to close it in this direction. You can just squeeze it between your fingers and move it back and forth. So the action is really smooth that way. In fact, doing that, you're guaranteed not for it to pop apart. So that's pretty pleasant. Let's see, size-wise, well, what I was talking about was the thing that these pop apart as they transfer from magnet to magnet to magnet. You don't see it so much when it's happening fast. So I did super fast slow motion as opposed to regular slow motion on my phone camera. And unfortunately, regular slow motion records sound, which would have been neat, but when you do super fast slow motion, there's no sound. But we'll put that up at the very end. Now this one doesn't pop apart. You'll see in the video, in the slow motion, that it does, as it travels from plate to plate, it does jump up a little bit. But of course, this one's guaranteed not to pop apart because the layers are captured in with each other. You'll notice the keyhole that coincides with a sort of a key that fits down in there. So when these are all put together, it can be taken apart. And I did a separate video on this altogether you can look at. It's the 01 EDC pod, the POD. But I think we're done talking about that one. Like I said, these two are about as close as I can get. 3-click sliders that are tracked. And this would be the closest thing I have, a good for size comparison. I thought a lot of you have a Mackie CP3. This is the CP3 Nano, but it's also a good comparison. So that's just 3 clicks, but this of course is 4 clicks, and size difference. For a 3-click slider, this does have a pretty good bit of travel. It's a different experience, and I like it. So size-wise, that's all I brought out for comparison. I think you'll get a good idea just from looking at that. It's similar. The Space Capsule is just a little bit taller. I've also seen this called Space Cabinet, but it could be a lost in translation sort of thing. I think let's go ahead and do the weight and the measurements, and hopefully if I think of anything else I need to talk about, I can do that during this time. So it's 51 millimeters tall, about 20 millimeters wide, 12 thick. When it's extended, I didn't think of that before, I'm getting about 68. 1 click, about 58. So 10 millimeters travel with each click. This almost has to be the top surface because these grooves are very sharp. Not that it should bother you, but that seems like the perfect place to put your thumb. If you flip it over, which you can do, this side just feels a little too slippery for my thumb. It's getting great traction over here on this side, but up here, where your thumb seems to be the action maker on this thing, so it just feels like it's meant to be held this way. And I don't think it weighs very much, being titanium. About 52 grams. I've seen, I think, titanium, stainless steel, and of course zirconium, I think. That's probably about it. It's a shame they don't do brass, and it's a shame all these places don't do an aluminum version, although I don't know, when you get a light aluminum, maybe that's a little too light for something like this. I don't know. Put your thoughts in the comments. Anyhow, let me know if you have any other questions. And finally, the bonus, I guess the thing I did was that short little recording. We're going to compare this, I believe, then this, and then I believe this is the last one. And we'll leave the video at that, but it's going to be just demonstrating this in slow motion, the act of it being closed, so that you can see the plates as they separate when they fly through the air. Same thing with this one, same thing with this one. And I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching.